died.
Like, it's not that.
Of plague in the first year.
And of the half the population, like 30% of them were like old.
So they were going to die anyway. But yeah, Blade Runner, sorry.
So Sean Young's character is actually a replicant, but she doesn't know it because she's been implanted with memories.
Right, the idea being that if they implant them with memories, it gives more of a cushion to their short lifespan so that they don't go nuts, Rutger Hauer style.
Because I guess they're built and they're like, it's like, oh, hey, you're a replicant. Like this, that, hey, like they're turned on and they're like, hey, you look human, but you're not actually human and you're going to die in 4 years.
You've got a shelf life of like an iPhone.
Like, yeah, like
4 years tops.
That's it. Like a console, like a video game console.
Right. Yep.
I mean, like
you're not gonna last as long as like the Xbox did.
Like the Xbox 360.
It's been around for like 8 years.
Yeah, but I mean, like the Nintendo 64.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Anyways, dig these rocks.
Yeah, dig these rocks and try not to think deep thoughts.
So, but yeah, so anyways, so he hunts down the replicants one by one. There's a big, scene that ends. He kills Daryl Hannah. When she got shot, was awesome.
Yeah.
Like flailing around like a crazy like bug.
Circuitry, it was kind of.
Well, like a toddler having a temper tantrum.
A little bit, yeah.
And like.
I did like when he killed the first replicant. How
Zora, yeah.
How like. Very like robotic she looked, like post death.
Yeah, like kind of the bending of her arms.
Yeah, like just the way,
as she like fell to the ground.
Yeah, she was shot, fell to the ground, and then after she was dead, it looked just very kind of like a toy was on the ground.
What's also interesting about the Zora sequence of the movie is that.
Tell me what is interesting.
Like Harrison Ford gives a really strange performance in this movie. He's very dead. Like dead-eyed, deadpan, just sort of sad sack, no inflection to the way he talks. But in this one sequence, he plays that little like,
hey, what are you doing?
Do you feel like you're being exploited? And,
I got a kick out of that.
Yeah, I was like, hey, look, he's acting. The rest of the time, he just looks like he's on kind of a death march in this film. I wonder if that's like a performance choice.
Well, there's
that's kind of a film noir style choice anyway.
Like the old gumshoe.
Yeah, but usually there's a bit more like hipness to it. Like he just seems sad.
Well, but I mean this is also dystopian as opposed
look at the world he lives in.
That's true.
There's people making eyes in laboratories.
There's no reason
Chinese
to
dudes can't understand his food order.
Midgets stealing stuff off your car if you park for too long.
Like fake snakes are being made.
Yeah.
Like that.
Like snakes. I don't want to live in a world where snakes don't exist.
Where, like, you have to be rich to buy a snake.
All right, I want to be able to go down to the fucking flea market and buy myself a snake for like $20.
$20.
Like, throw in the terrarium for another 10. That's the world I want to live in. All right? Blade Runner, I would have checked out a long time ago.
This is only 6 years in the future.
I know, so
shit's about to go.
So we need to fucking make some changes, all right?
The movie takes place in 2019.
You guys, we need to start being nice to each other. We need to start being nicer to snakes.
Yep.
We got a bad rap thanks to the devil.
And we got to stop
Cobra
building
Commander,
robots.
And no robots.
And the Bible. Yeah, the Bible. Did you already say the Bible?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry.
Thanks to the Bible.
The Bible and Cobra Commander.
Satan.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
all those things are tied into Blade Runner's themes, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Blade Runner, man.
But, I mean, I think his performance plays into the theory that he might be a replicant himself.
And apparently the final cut adds fire to that because of the whole unicorn dream. I don't think was in the original theatrical version, and the idea of him finding the little unicorn origami at the end that Commander Adama left for him.
Yeah, and the line says like we all die, like all of us die, or something like that.
It's a shame she won't live, but who does?
But yeah.
But see, I mean, I think it's still ambiguous regardless. I mean, Ridley Scott isn't going to say either way whether or not he's a replicant.
I think Ridley Scott has come out and said, like, he is a replicant.
No, I mean, he said, like, yes, that's what you're supposed to assume. He hasn't said, yes, that's what it is. Because, I mean, like, why
I think it's a better movie if you don't know.
Well, yeah, first off, why unicorn? Like, regardless of, like, oh, it's this dream. Like,
what if he's
knew the dream. He left the unicorn. Like, think, like, why...
I'm shaking my head at Sean.
Why a unicorn? And... the symbolism of a unicorn, like, it represents that unattainable mystery and, like, the mythology.
Yeah, she was researching unicorns on Wikipedia.
It also,
who hasn't done that? At least like once a week.
And they can only be tamed by virgins. So if you think of Harrison Ford's character as the unicorn, I mean, he's got like a total bachelor apartment, like full of photos, no family seemingly. So like, yeah, the photos could say like, oh, you know, that's all of like, you know, his memory stuff, and he doesn't know who he is. He is a replicant, but it could also be like, you know, a really devoted detective who's totally obsessed with his work, and his apartment is full of all of his cases.
And Rachel's the virgin.
Yeah, and she's the virgin. She doesn't know who she is or what she is, and she tames him. She gets him. And then also...
He kind of tames her in that scene.
Yes, but who can tame her?
He shuts the door.
Yeah. Unicorns are also symbolic for the inception of Christ, meaning...
yeah, like, what does that mean?
God being made flesh. So, Jesus.
Okay. I was thinking like they planted the dream of Christ.
Well,
and they incepted
I think
him.
his birth.
Do you know what you call a group of unicorns?
What?
A blessing.
Really?
Isn't that's the most adorable thing ever?
Is that really what it's?
Yeah.
A blessing of unicorns?
A blessing of unicorns.
Like a murder of crows?
No, the incarnation, not the inception. Sorry, the incarnation.
So Deckard is the Christ?
Did you ever read the story?
The Last Unicorn?
No, that's a cartoon, but it is about the last unicorns.
Yeah, where Noah's...
Yeah, where Noah's like getting all the animals on, and then the rain starts, and I guess his son...
he can't make a deal with the unicorn owner or something, right?
Well, no, with Wadu. I'm a Targaryen! Old-timey Bible money doesn't work on me!
I thought that's what it was. He was trying to buy the unicorns to get them.
Well, no, it starts raining and they don't have time to wrangle them up.
Oh,
so
right.
I think that's what I read. That's what I remember. At
it was
least.
In one of our textbooks, right?
And
in high school?
And so like the rain starts starts coming down, and he's like, "There's no time. We got to leave the unicorns." I would have been like, "Fuck a hippo,
no.
really."
Yeah, seriously.
Unicorn.
You start with the unicorn.
Yeah, seriously, like this is a horse
Finish with
a goddamn sword on its head. Like you're on first. You're like they're like the first class on an airplane. They get on first. They get to sit down, give them some champagne as they watch all the stupid animals walk past them.
Right, exactly, and kind of chuckle at how the other half lives.
Yeah, they're the 1%, or they should have been.
They should have been.
Fucking Noah, dick.
Instead, they drowned in their ivory towers while Noah and the hippos sailed to life.
Fucking, we got hippos. What good are hippos? What do hippos do?
Well, we got a great board game out of it.
That's about it.
A couple millennia later.
That was my favorite game.
Was it?
Yeah.
I never had it. I always wanted it.
But I didn't have any siblings.
So what's the point?
Yeah, and so it's like...
You could just mash hippos' heads and just eat a bunch of shit.
I always liked the fishing game. You know, where it would turn in a circle and the fish... And were there magnets in their mouths?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, like, you dip it, and if you caught one, you could pull it out.
Pull it out.
I don't know what the point of the game was, other than catching robot fish, but...
Well, I guess the more you catch...
Fine-tuning your eye-hand coordination, your motor skills.
For those poor pre-Nintendo souls.
Yes.
Rattle Me Bones was similar.
I don't remember that one.
It was... there's a skeleton.
Like Operation.
Oh, it's kind of like Operation. There's a skeleton with, like, jewelry. Like a pirate skeleton with
yes.
all sorts of booty around it.
Yeah.
And he had to, like, pick off the jewelry, and it would start to shake. Like, it's great. It's like grave robbing, pretty much. It's like if that fish game improved your hand-eye coordination, this, Rattle Me Bones improved your ability to dig up an old, rich body, crack the casket open, and steal its jewelry.
Or Don't Wake Daddy. Do you remember that?
Oh, that's a frightening game. Whoever invented that game grew up in an abusive household.
Like, I'm going to turn my childhood misery into millions. From Milton Bradley.
That guy ended his life by putting a gun in his mouth.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I have all these millions.
But I still can't get over my abusive
Pretty
childhood.
sure his dad was Hemingway. If that's the case. He came up with Hungry, Hungry Hippos.
I thought I had read something. Like really fucked up about Hemingway, almost like a Sophie's Choice type thing. Well, it's like a Sophie's Choice type thing where he's like he like didn't talk, or like it was something like he didn't talk to like a daughter for like 20 years because just to see if he could or something like that. Right. I don't know. I do.
I don't know about that. He did have issues with women, however. So.
Well, who doesn't?
Yeah, seriously.
John Lennon didn't.
I'm a woman. I'm a woman, and I have issues with women.
John Lennon worked them out by the end of his life, but he definitely had them.
Well,
I'd rather see dead little girl than to be with another man. That's a line from a Beatles song.
That's romantic, isn't it?
If you're 14, yeah.
Blade Runner
is an excellent film.
Ends with Rutger Hauer saving Deckard's life.
Yeah, I always wondered why he changed his mind.
Well, he knew he was dying.
Was he just? Oh, he was just trying to teach him a lesson,
yeah.
right? He was showing him what it feels like to be a slave.
This is my existence. Mm-hmm. Like, this is me, dude.
Right.
I
constantly being hunted and
yeah. He was the according to this wiki, Roy's character has, or as far as we know, is the only replicant to complete his life cycle. Everybody else died. All the other replicants died by violent interactions with other humans.
Because he just kind of shuts down.
Yep.
He lets the bird go.
Scene.
It's that really iconic shot of he just kind of puts his head down and the rain's coming down and dripping off his hair and head. And
I love his line about I've seen things, like ships off the Mutara Nebula or whatever, and all of these things will be lost in time. Like, that's an incredible moment. Like, it's Ridley Scott used to have something, man.
Yeah, and it ends with Deckard and Rachel kind of just dipping out together, yeah.
Well, yeah, Jaime Escalante lets them go.
Yeah.
Kind of. He kind of hints at it. And there's a really tense scene where, I wasn't sure if he was going to try to kill Rachel or what, because he's got the gun on her.
Yeah.
Or he's saying her name and he's using the gun to move the blanket, isn't he?
Yeah.
But then he sees it's her, and then he checks to make sure she's breathing, and he's like, oh, thank Christ. I was like, oh, good, he's not going to kill her.
Oh, good.
But the first time I watched it, I was really surprised that it just ended with the door shutting. Like, that was the end of the film. It was this very sad, dark, ambiguous ending. Mm-hmm. But I think in retrospect, it's a perfect ending for the film.
Yeah, I mean, I think in Rutger Hauer's little monologue right before he dies, that character kind of, makes the movie. Mm-hmm. Up until the point you're like, oh, it's beautiful, it's got some nice themes, but that's kind of when it gets wrapped up,
and you're like, holy shit,
and you're like, wow, this is this is what's up.
Rutger Hauer's really good in the movie.
What else has he been in? Goonies? Was he in the Goonies?
He was in Sin City.
Was he in the Goonies though? I assume everyone is in the Goonies because, why else would that fucking movie be so goddamn popular?
Seriously, that's not a. It's not a good movie,
nostalgia.
Folks.
Although I'm sure the Sandlot still holds up.
Right there, boom.
Sandlot.
I've seen semi recently, and it absolutely does hold up.
He was in Batman Begins. He was in the original Hitcher. He's in a ton of shit.
Well, Blade Runner. I finally seen it.
Yeah.
That's another merit badge for your nerd.
Yeah. And I was really glad we watched it.
I get to sew it on my sash.
Right.
What would be the Blade Runner badge?
Would it be the Blade Runner gun?
It'd be a unicorn.
Yeah.
That'd be really
the Tyrell.
It wouldn't be the Tyrell Corporation
with the unicorn
logo.
As the pupil of the eye.
Maybe.
They reference in Prometheus the Tyrell Corporation.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, I think the Tyrell Corporation built David.
Tyrell Corporation badge. It even kind of looks like a Girl Scout badge a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like
it's like it's an owl face.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that. Yeah. And the owl was fake in the movie.
Yeah.
Everything was fake.
It's not a movie that engenders a lot of conversation. It's interesting. It's great. It's beautiful. It's like a dream.
What do you mean it doesn't engender a lot of
I don't have that much to say about it except that I really liked it.
Well, you don't talk about the movie itself, but you talk about the ideas that it brings up more so.
Oh, yeah.
We could talk about, The Dark Knight, the movie itself.
Right.
But, but we don't talk about,
terrorism.
Terrorism and
Bush administration and wiretapping.
Well, then we're doing it wrong.
Evil incarnate or whatever. What is true fear?
Yeah, what is true fear? This movie answers the question. True fear is Rutger Hauer's face coming through a wall.
Seriously, that's frightening.
The door was 2 feet away from him, and he chose to barrel
that scene
his
is
head
actually
through
pretty
a wall. Yeah.
creepy. I was actually kind of getting tense in the not so much when he's fighting Daryl Hannah, but what's her name? Zora. No, when he's fighting
Pris.
Roy and Pris, when he's fighting Pris.
Yeah.
Not so much that, although that was pretty It was a fun scene. You can in HD, you can see straight through that leotard she's wearing.